inefficient. Take this point, a portfolio that has a risk of 1.1 and a reward of 0.8. Okay. Well, I can basically go stay right here on the risk, go above, and hit a portfolio that has a risk of 1.1, but the reward much higher. So anything inside is inefficient. Let me see. There's my draw thing. Don't I have a draw button here? I may have. I should have a draw button here. Let me see. For some reason, it's not showing the draw button for me. Anyway, let me draw it here. Think about this portion of the portfolio, or minimum variance frontier, the downward sloping part. They are also inefficient. I mean, roughly from here, think about this portfolio. It has a reward of 0.87. I'm sorry, it has a reward of 0. No. It has a reward of about 0.03 and a risk of 0.7. I can basically go up here and do better than that, okay? Only the upward sloping part, this part, these are efficient portfolios. You know, it's easy to figure out when something is inefficient, but to figure out why it's efficient, we kind of need to think about it. Take this little point here, a reward of 0.10% and a risk of about 93. If I move anywhere straight up, it's infeasible. Straight left, it's infeasible. Straight right, it's inefficient. Straight down, it's inefficient. The only way I could improve upon this portfolio in terms of return or risk is to go to Northeast, okay? But when I go to Northeast, yes, the reward increases, but so does the risk. So there does not exist a feasible portfolio that dominates this point. So anything on the upward sloping part is an efficient portfolio. And that upward sloping part has a special name. It's called the efficient frontier. What that efficient frontier tells us, the fundamental law in finance. Nobody calls it fundamental law, but I do. In order to get a higher return, you have to be willing to get higher risk, okay? In markets where people are not stupid, where they do not hold inefficient portfolios. If you have an inefficient portfolio, you don't have to assume higher risk in order to get a higher return. But the trouble is you shouldn't have been there in the first place. So let's think about this portfolio. Let me put 0.21% as my target. Let's solve not data analysis, solvers. Now let's compare this portfolio G with S&P 500. Portfolio G has a higher average return than S&P 500, correct? And turns out it also has a lower risk than S&P 500. So the S&P 500 portfolio by definition is inefficient. Let me change the chart. Instead of 18, it ends in 19. Okay. So S&P 500 portfolio is somewhere around here. This little point, okay? About 0.20 return and 263 risk. Just by going up and to the left, I get another portfolio that dominates the S&P 500. And let's see what kind of portfolio that was. It puts everything, 76% on S&P 500, but it shorts some of the bonds. Let's use the exact reward. So among portfolios that has the same average return as S&P 500, this portfolio has a much lower risk, 263 versus 222. And that comes from shorting the bond market. On Wednesday, we're going to look at things like what if we can't necessarily short or what if there are limits to how much you can leverage things. But at least on an unconstrained level, S&P 500 portfolio is not even efficient by itself. There is something that dominates it. And you can check for yourself that same thing is going to happen for the gold ETF and bond ETF as well. And for the bond ETF, it's not even a discussion. Let me see. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, you can figure that out. Gonna stop here. On Wednesday, we're gonna look at the variations of these with limitations on shorting and margin trading.